Right now, the Democratic Party is governed and led by the extreme left, by the Squad, by AOC and Tlaib and Omar.
Ted Cruz didn't hold back here. He went straight at AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and even Chuck Schumer for what he says is the Democratic Party surrendering to the radical left.
Hamas regularly stores missiles in kindergartens, in hospitals. They use human shields. And what do the Democrats do? The Democrats act as their press agents. The Democrats spread propaganda because human shields are all designed locating military assets where innocent Palestinian civilians are likely to be the inadvertent targets of any act to strike back against the terrorists. It is Hamas that is killing these human shields. And the Democrats and the press are happily parroting that propaganda language. Several years ago, I led a bipartisan resolution that passed unanimously in the Senate condemning the use of human shields as a war crime. It is a war crime, but whose statements might as well be issued on behalf of Hamas. They are accusing Israel of engaging in terrorism. Defending your citizens from violent terrorist attacks is the right of Israel. And I will say for every Senate Democrat, they have an opportunity right now to decide where do they stand. Just a minute ago, I was speaking with a reporter who relayed that Chuck Schumer had told him, "I don't want to answer any questions on Israel." Well, I bet he doesn't. I bet he doesn't because he's so scared of AOC primarying him from the left that he doesn't want to say anything to anger the anti-Israel extreme left in the Democratic Party. Now is a time for men and women with courage to step up and say, we stand with Israel.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you as well. How do you depict what we have seen in the last 36 hours between the Squad and the president and Republicans and Democrats and Nancy Pelosi?
Well, look, the rhetoric has been a little bit overheated, but the substance of it is these freshman members of Congress are radical and extreme. They are embracing full-on socialism. They are authoring the so-called Green New Deal, which would cost $93 trillion to the economy. That would have the effect of every family in America increasing your taxes $65,000 a year, every family in America. These are radical and extreme plans. These freshmen, unfortunately, also have a long and troubling history with anti-Semitism, engaging over and over again, not just once, but multiple times in making anti-Semitic insults, sending anti-Semitic tweets. In fact, it was so bad that Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats tried to censure those House freshmen for their anti-Semitic comments. They tried to pass a resolution condemning anti-Semitism in response to the comments. And it is a testament to the power in the Democratic Party those House freshmen have that the entire caucus fell apart. They couldn't hold the votes to pass a simple, clean resolution condemning anti-Semitism. I will tell you, I was proud that the Senate did a lot better. I authored a straightforward, direct resolution condemning anti-Semitism. Tim Kaine, a Democrat, joined me. The two of us brought together, we had 56 co-sponsors, including 14 Democrats, and we passed it unanimously through the U.S. Senate. Every single Republican, every single Democrat. And you want to know what the House should do in the wake of all this nonsense the last couple of days? They ought to take up and pass the resolution that the Senate just passed 100 to nothing.
Why didn't they do it?
Because most of the conference is terrified of those freshmen. They're terrified of the radical activists behind those freshmen, and so they basically, the committee chairs, the Speaker has handed her gavel over to those freshmen. The committee chairs have handed their gavels over to the freshmen, and every one of them are terrified that these freshmen will criticize them. And what it means is the angry radicals, the people who, I mean, you saw in that clip right there that they're accusing the president of being a white nationalist.
Senator, the speaker did criticize them, and in turn, they accused the speaker of being critical of them because they are people of color.
If you thought Ted Cruz was going to play it safe here, forget it. He came out swinging at the Squad, at Democrat leadership, and at what he believes the Democratic Party has become under pressure from the activist left. And honestly, whether people agree with him or not, this is exactly why Cruz has remained one of the most aggressive conservative voices in Washington. He understands something a lot of Republicans have figured out over the last few years. Voters are tired of politicians who sound cautious and rehearsed while the country feels increasingly divided and unstable. The moment Cruz started talking about Hamas using human shields, you could already tell where this was heading. He wasn't just defending Israel. He was accusing Democrats and the media of helping spread Hamas propaganda by repeating casualty narratives without emphasizing who he says is actually responsible for putting civilians in danger in the first place. Then he took it even further. He directly tied that argument to AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib, saying their rhetoric might as well be issued on behalf of Hamas. That's not a small accusation. That is political warfare language. And Cruz knew exactly how explosive it would sound, but what really stood out was that he didn't stop with the squad. He went after Chuck Schumer too. That's the part a lot of people miss in these clips. Cruz isn't just arguing that the far-left members are radical. He's arguing that establishment Democrats are scared of them. According to Cruz, Schumer staying quiet on Israel wasn't leadership. It was fear of being attacked from the left, fear of a primary challenge. Fear of angering the activist base that now has massive influence over the Democratic Party. And that argument has become a major Republican talking point heading into every election cycle now. Republicans keep framing Democrats as a party where the loudest activists control everything. They point to the squad, campus protests, anti-Israel demonstrations, and socialist rhetoric as proof that the center of gravity inside the Democratic Party has moved dramatically left. That's why Cruz brought up the Green New Deal too. Notice how he framed it. He didn't just call it expensive. He described it as economically devastating and extreme. Republicans know economic fear connects with voters immediately. Inflation, energy prices, taxes, grocery bills, all of that matters far more to average Americans than ideological buzzwords. So when Cruz says these policies would cost families tens of thousands of dollars, he's trying to tie progressive ideology directly to financial pain people already feel. And then came the anti-Semitism argument. Cruz brought up how Democrats struggled internally over resolutions condemning anti-Semitism after controversial comments from members of the squad. He's using that history to paint Democratic leadership as weak and unwilling to confront extremism inside their own coalition. That's really the core message here, not just the squad is radical, but the Democratic establishment is too weak to stop them. That's the bigger political attack, and you can see why this messaging resonates with conservatives. From their perspective, they watched Democrats spend years accusing Republicans of extremism while simultaneously defending or excusing rhetoric from activists on their own side. Cruz is flipping that entire narrative around and saying, no, your party is the one being controlled by radicals. Now obviously Democrats see this completely differently. Progressives argue they're speaking out about Palestinian civilians, humanitarian concerns, and U.S. foreign policy accountability. They say criticism of the Israeli government is not anti-Semitism, and accuse Republicans of deliberately conflating the two in order to silence criticism. But Cruz clearly doesn't buy that distinction at all. Not even close. And politically, moments like this matter because they energize both sides at the exact same time. Conservatives hear Cruz and feel like finally somebody is fighting back aggressively against what they view as media narratives and left-wing intimidation. Meanwhile, progressives hear this and see Republicans escalating rhetoric to inflammatory levels. That's why American politics keeps getting hotter every single year. Nobody is backing down anymore. The old cautious political language is disappearing. Replacing it is confrontation, outrage, viral moments, and ideological warfare designed for clips exactly like this one. And Ted Cruz understands that environment better than most politicians in Washington. He knows these exchanges don't just live inside cable news anymore. They explode online. They dominate social media. They drive fundraising. They fire up bases. They turn into campaign ads. That's the real battle now, not persuading the middle quietly behind closed doors. It's dominating the national conversation loudly and aggressively enough that your side feels energized and motivated to fight. And judging by this clip, Cruz came into this interview with one goal: make absolutely sure nobody walks away confused about where he stands on AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Chuck Schumer, and the direction of the Democratic Party. If you made it this far, comment below and tell me what you think. Was Ted Cruz right that Democrats are being controlled by the radical left, or was this pure political theater? And if you want more political breakdowns like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.